recording. I'll get a little bit closer with each of your first names, last names, and how you spell them.
Okay. Allen Long, Allenlong.
Deborah, Deborah, Long, Long, Signs, Sainz.
Mr. Long's son and daughter? Yes. Perfect. First and foremost, I got to start, because, that comment you made just stood out. Oh, it's such an El Paso story. Tell me a little bit about how unique Mr. Long's story is. It's essentially an El Paso story, centuries long now. Really.
Yes. Well, my sister and I were blessed, number one, to be born to Bobby and Nell Long in El Paso. And they were both native El Pasoans. My mother grew up in the Austin area, right, Deb? Mm-hmm. And Daddy was born in a tent down in Fabens and then migrated into El Paso. He bought his first home for us when his family started growing. It was down off of Saragossa on...
Off of Saragossa?
Do you remember the street?
Odioka.
Which is
Odioka Street.
The name of the Isleta Annual. And we were there several years and then moved up to Ranchland Hills. And Debbie and I both went to school. She went to...
Ranchland and Del Norte. Finished at Del Norte and then Bel Air.
Yeah. And I went to Ranchland at that time and then finished up at Bel Air High School.
So the Long family, generations of El Pasoans now we're talking about, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Daddy had how many people in the family, Deb?
He had 5 older sisters, and he had brothers too, but one passed away an infant, the other one a toddler, and then his oldest brother passed pretty young too.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk about Ranchland Hills, Debbie and I lived on a street with lots of kids, and he became pretty much the daddy to all of them. Mm-hmm. And Debbie would get jealous.
Well, I got jealous at the swimming pool because he would throw us. And so I never got a turn because kids that we didn't even know came, and then he just threw them over and over and over, and I'd be like, okay, and I'd swim off finally.
So tell me a little bit, because I believe, if you want to learn about Mr. Long, that perhaps characterized him, kind of the father figure, I imagine he was, very playful. So tell me a little bit about the father, it's Father's Day after all, that Mr. Long was.
Well, this is how I look at it. My sister can add to it too. Once again, I want to just say how blessed we were. He did not have a father figure growing up. And I think when he met my mother, Nell Long, she changed his life. She changed his life, and she helped him grow into the man that he became, the Christian that he became. And he was an assistant Boy Scout leader in the troop that I was in. We have his uniform over here. That uniform right there is over 60 years old when he was a assistant scoutmaster. And going back, like Debbie was saying, the father figure, he was the neighborhood.
Yes, the other kids across the street would come when he mowed the lawn and put their hand in his pocket and follow him up and down the yard as he mowed. And after Alan and I left the house we'd married and left, there was little girls that lived across the street and next door, and they would come and ring the doorbell and ask my mom, can Mr. Long come out and play? And so he would lay in the grass and they would jump around and tell him stories, and he knew everything about their homes, unfortunately, probably for the family.
And part of it, I don't know in his interview if he shared, he's totally bilingual.
Wow.
He is totally bilingual, so he could talk Spanish with all the kids in the neighborhood, and they loved that, and he loved it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'm amazed that he had the time to do that, because he worked 2 and 3 jobs sometime.
Our whole life.
Our whole life. Our mom did not work. She was a homemaker, and he worked hard. He was a poster child for hard work. I believe I'm correct saying he was 45 years at the railroad.
Yeah, and he never missed anything that we were in. We were in choir in school. I was in modern dance. Alan, he attended everything. He never missed our stuff. I wanted him to miss sometimes.
Yeah. He would cook hamburgers at church on Sunday evening for the youth groups. And I think that made such a powerful impact on us.
Mm-hmm. And
We
he
had-
gave
we
half
had a
of them a
daddy.
ride home. You know, they didn't enforce, you know, not getting, and we'd load them in the back of a truck and take all these kids home that didn't have a ride home. And
He was just a special guy.
It's amazing. It's Father's Day, but at the end of the day, I mean, what makes it even more special, it's his 100th birthday. Tell me that about you guys being his children, seeing him reach this milestone.
Well, when the COVID started, I believe he was about 92, and he moved in with my wife and I, and we were real worried about him being around us because we're kind of wild. Not wild, I would. Well, we're not tame either. but he said, I don't know, and then he said, okay, I'll come live with y'all. And after that, he sold his house in Ranchland where Debbie and I grew up. But he's been with Sarah, my wife, and I for 7 years. And Debbie comes and stays in the summer for a month so we can go RVing. But it's just, we're blessed. I just sum it up by saying we are blessed to have him.
It's hard to kind of really think he's 100. I mean, I can't kind of grasp it, even though I've watched it, you know, all along. But we're pretty old now, so that would make him old too.
I look at all my buddies and relatives that I'm 75 years old now, and none of them have their fathers. And one of my best friends is here today. He hadn't had a daddy in 25, 30 years. And here I am, 75, and Deb, 72? 73, and we still have our dad at 100. We take him to church on Sunday. We go out to eat. Sometimes he travels with us. He's still pretty active for his age and still speaks Spanish like nobody's business.
I think I heard right now. It was funny. I think he said ATM. A toda madre. It's like a Spanish cuss word. It was hilarious. Now separating the father, because he also served our country, and during a very important time, he witnessed, I believe, when the Japanese finally surrendered. So also seeing kind of was what he's meant to his country, seeing him as that figure, besides from a father, just kind of out of respect, like what he did for our country. How's that part of it been like for you guys?
Well, I'll tell you my part, and then I want Debbie to share. Honestly and truly, he never talked about it till much later in our life. And I would say in the last 10 years or so, 15 years, it's really come to light. And I was able to travel with him to Washington, D.C., to all the memorials with the honor flight. And that's when everything started really sinking. My dad was in World War II. You know, my dad. And to me, like I said, maybe the last 15 years, we knew it, but it really came to light.
And I think so too, because he really didn't talk about it as we grew up, and so I didn't really think about it a whole lot, you know, until later, and it was like, oh my gosh, you know.
He was there at the signing of the peace treaty.
Yeah.
And I'll say this about Bobby Long. He's a wonderful person, a wonderful Christian, an amazing daddy. He was an amazing husband to our mother for 64 years. He doesn't like the limelight.
Yeah.
But he's a character.
Very much so.
Yeah.
What's perhaps, and because I know they're about to start with programming, share one quick memory, probably one of your favorite memories, whether it was when you were kids, much older, perhaps the first memory that comes to mind now on his 100th birthday.
Wow, there's 100 times 100.
Yeah.
I want to tell one that just happened pretty recently. He'd been living with us, and his driving was getting a little interesting. And he drove up, he was 96 at that point, and he jumped out of his car, and he said, I passed my driving test. I don't have to get another one until I'm 98. And I was going, oh my God. So I called Debbie, and I said, oh, Debbie, he's got a new driver's license. But we talked to him, and at first, well, I don't know about that. And then I said, Daddy, you haven't hurt anybody. You have a beautiful driving record. I think you're right. And he handed over the keys.
Yeah.
So we were blessed in that regard.
And I thanked him for that. I said, Daddy, thank you for not making this hard. you know, because I have friends that it's been a nightmare when it came time for that. And so I'm very, he had told us years ago, though, whatever we need him to do, he'll do. And he never complains, never.
We just took a road trip to Strawberry, Arizona, all four of us. And he just sits in the front seat and just whatever rolls with the flow. Doesn't complain
where
where
we eat or wherever we're gonna stay or whatever. He never,
wherever y'all want to.
You know,
A
he's
delightful
so
person.
easy.
His mother, our grandmother, Annabelle Long, never said a cross word about anybody. And I think she taught him and his sisters that same thing. Our aunts were just remarkable people.
I do want to say, I think one thing that's kind of been hard to see him, this is such a great milestone, but all his siblings are gone. All his, their spouses are gone. You know, we've lost he's lost nieces and nephews in there. And on my mom's side, all of them are gone except one. And that's been a little hard to see. You know, he realizes, and all his friends are gone. And he realizes, you know, I'm still behind, and now why am I still here? You know, that's what he said. I don't know why the Lord has kept me here still. And so that was a little hard, you know, to see that and to think everybody's gone, you know.
I gotta ask you, just kind of on that note, tell me about the long, briefly, because I know you guys have to go, the legacy he left behind, the family.
Well,
Granddaughter.
let me tell you, there's Daddy, there's me, my son AJ with the long name.
And that's
We have nieces and nephews here that he is their great uncle. We have all of that, but there's only 3 of us today that have the long name. We have a new daughter-in-law, but we're going to leave that to the Lord and to them.
Yeah.
Right?
well, and I think it's just pretty special to watch it all. You know, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, they all know him very well and love him, you know, and that's special to say that. Like people say, I say I'm going to El Paso this weekend because it's my dad's 100th birthday. They're blown away, you know.
Yeah.
But for the grandkids too, to say my grandpa's turning 100 or my great grandpa's turning 100, or, you know, they love him and they know him, you know.
And I was blessed, and my wife and I were blessed. I was gone 8 years and got back to El Paso, and we were at a reception for her, and one of my cousins, we couldn't find a teaching job, and one of my cousins said, go to Socorro. I lived here all my life. I didn't know where Socorro was. Went down there and finished a 32-year wonderful career. Where I'm going with this is my 3 children got to know their grandparents, and that's priceless.
Lastly, to close it off, so you can go ahead and start celebrations, a message for Mr. Long.
Happy birthday, Daddy. We love you.
Sorry.
No problem. That's all this special.
Happy birthday, Daddy. Thank you for being my dad.
Absolutely.
Congrats, really congrats, and happy Father's Day.